Carmax just shocked the entire car industry, and the ripple effect is already spreading across dealerships, automakers, and buyers nationwide. What they just revealed wasn't supposed to be public, it wasn't supposed to leak, and it certainly wasn't supposed to hit consumers this hard. But now that it's out, every dealer in America is scrambling to react. The entire market has been sitting on an invisible pressure cooker. Prices have been inflated for years. Inventory has been stuck. Demand has been unpredictable. But CarMax just pulled the curtain back and exposed what's really going on. And the truth is shaking the entire automotive world. CarMax wasn't planning a small adjustment or a mild correction. They unleashed a move so aggressive that analysts are calling it the opening shot in a full-scale price war. This isn't a quiet shift behind the scenes. This is a public, unavoidable shockwave. And whether you're a buyer, seller, dealer, or investor, what's happening right now affects you directly. For months, insiders whispered about CarMax's falling margins and shrinking buyer traffic. But instead of slowing down, CarMax decided to push the nuclear button. Massive price reductions across some of the most popular used cars on their lots. We're talking drops so steep that some models haven't been this cheap since before the 2020 inflation spike. That's why consumers are rushing, dealers are panicking, and automakers are watching the data like hawks. But here's the twist. These price drops aren't random. CarMax is responding to one thing they didn't expect: a sudden collapse in demand for high-priced used vehicles. Shoppers have had enough. High interest rates crushed affordability, and overpriced cars sat on lots for months. CarMax saw the warning signs before anyone else, and now they're moving faster than any competitor. They didn't just lower prices, they changed the way they evaluate trades. CarMax's new appraisal data reportedly shows trade-in offers dropping by thousands of dollars almost overnight. This one move alone has frozen the entire used car ecosystem. Private sellers are confused, dealers are furious, and customers who bought at peak prices are watching values collapse right under them. CarMax is essentially saying loud and clear, the old used car market is over, and that message is forcing everyone, from big brand dealerships to small town lots, to rethink their entire business model. Because if CarMax is signaling a correction this big, the rest of the industry can't ignore it. But that's not even the wildest part. Behind the scenes, CarMax executives reportedly uncovered inventory data that shows a massive buildup of vehicles that simply aren't moving. Cars that flew off the lot in 2021 are now sitting untouched for 60, 90, even 120 days. And when inventory piles up, prices must come down fast. CarMax decided they aren't waiting for the market to fix itself. They're forcing the market to move right now. And as soon as their new prices went live, buyer behavior changed instantly. Searches spiked, test drives jumped, and foot traffic shot up in multiple regions. It's the clearest sign yet that customers were only waiting for one thing: the first big player to break the price barrier. Now that CarMax has done it, every other dealer knows they're next. CarMax isn't just reacting to the market, they're reshaping it. By lowering prices so aggressively, they're putting extreme pressure on traditional dealerships who've been holding out, refusing to cut their inflated prices. Those dealers are suddenly stuck with cars they overpaid for, cars they can't sell, cars losing value by the week, and CarMax knows it. This move is intentional, strategic, calculated. It's designed to force a reset in used car pricing, whether other dealers like it or not. In fact, some dealers are already slashing their own prices to avoid getting crushed by CarMax's momentum. Because once a national giant drops prices, everyone else must follow, or risk being left behind with bloated inventory nobody wants. But here's where things get even more shocking. CarMax's shocking move has triggered what analysts are now calling a market-wide reckoning. Because once those lowered prices hit the market, lenders began reevaluating the true value of used cars. Banks and finance companies are quietly updating their loan-to-value ratios, meaning buyers are suddenly getting approved for less money, and dealers can't inflate prices the way they used to. CarMax basically forced the financial side of the industry to admit what they've been avoiding: the bubble has popped. And automakers, they're even more panicked, because CarMax's data doesn't just reflect used car demand, it predicts what will happen to new car sales. When used car prices drop fast, new cars must follow, especially models that were already overpriced or had years of markups built in. Companies like Ford, GM, Honda, and even Toyota are now scrambling to analyze how this market collapse might trigger new incentives, rebates, or production cuts. They know that if CarMax is slashing prices today, new new car discounts are coming tomorrow. But Carmax didn't stop at price cuts. They also introduced a new data-driven purchasing system that automatically adjusts vehicle prices based on real-time demand. Instead of waiting weeks for market shifts, their algorithm updates prices almost instantly. This is completely rewriting how cars are valued. Dealers who rely on old-school manual pricing methods simply can't keep up. And here's where the real chaos begins. Because this new pricing system revealed something nobody expected: a dramatic collapse in demand for luxury used cars. High-end brands like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and Tesla are seeing some of the fastest declines. These were the cars that once sold effortlessly at inflated prices. Now they're sitting untouched, forcing Carmax to slash values by thousands to move them. This has luxury dealers furious, because now they can't justify their own inflated prices without looking out of touch. Meanwhile, everyday buyers are reacting with disbelief. People who assumed they'd never see affordable used cars again are suddenly flooding Carmax's website in lots. Families who put off buying because of insane prices are now coming back, hoping to catch a deal before the industry reacts. And Carmax's traffic surge shows something crystal clear: the demand was always there. People were just waiting for someone to finally bring prices back to reality. Dealers across the country are now calling emergency meetings. Some are halting purchases at auctions because they fear paying too much. Others are rushing to copy Carmax's strategy before their inventory loses even more value. But here's the thing, it's already too late. Carmax moved first. They set the new standard, and anyone who fights the new market will lose money, lose customers, and lose momentum. But Carmax also revealed another bombshell, something even more alarming for the entire industry. Their internal report suggests that repossessions are rising sharply, which means more used cars are about to flood the market. More supply plus falling demand equals an even more dramatic drop in prices. Carmax is preparing for an avalanche, while most dealers are still pretending everything is fine. And the craziest part, Carmax insiders believe this is only the beginning. They predict the biggest wave of price declines will hit in the next 3 to 5 months, especially for trucks, SUVs, and luxury EVs, categories that hit peak prices during the pandemic. If that prediction is correct, the car market is about to enter a full-scale reset we haven't seen in over a decade. And right now, Carmax is positioning itself as the dominant player in the new era, the one dealership that acted before the crash, while everyone else waited for the storm. But there's one more twist, something hidden deep inside Carmax's strategy that explains why they made this move now and why the rest of the industry should be terrified. Carmax's bold strategy becomes even clearer when you look at what they quietly changed behind the scenes. Their entire acquisition model. Instead of relying heavily on auctions, where dealers often overpay for cars they hope will rise in value, Carmax is shifting aggressively toward direct-to-consumer sourcing. This means they want more cars coming straight from everyday sellers, not the wholesale marketplace. Why does that matter? Because when Carmax buys directly from consumers, they control the price floor. They decide what a car is really worth, and with trade-in values dropping, they can acquire vehicles for far less than competing dealers. This gives Carmax a massive advantage. They can afford to slash retail prices because their costs are lower from the start. Most traditional dealerships can't compete with this. They're stuck with inventory they bought at inflated auction prices. They're sitting on vehicles that will lose thousands more in the coming months. And Carmax knows this is their moment to dominate. A rare window where their streamlined system outperforms older dealership models by a mile. But the real shocker comes from Carmax's internal market projection. They believe used car values are about to enter a deflation cycle, something the car market hasn't experienced in years. Instead of the usual slow depreciation, they're preparing for rapid price declines across multiple segments. Trucks that once sold for $55,000 used may soon drop into the low 40s. Popular crossovers could fall by $3,000 to $6,000. And EVs, already suffering from oversupply, could see the steepest collapses of all. Carmax sees the writing on the wall, and instead of fighting the coming downturn, they're embracing it. They're aligning their entire business with the new reality before it fully hits. And that's why their competitors are scared. Carmax is already several steps ahead, but it goes deeper than pricing. Carmax has also invested heavily in a new predictive analytics system that tracks real-time demand shifts, regional supply imbalances, loan approval trends, consumer purchasing behavior patterns, vehicle depreciation valuation curves across hundreds of models, this system is giving Carmax a crystal clear view of the next market moves, weeks or even months before rivals see them. Dealers who still rely on old spreadsheets and outdated software simply cannot compete. And now the industry is realizing what's really happening. Carmax didn't just drop prices, they triggered a controlled reset of the entire used car marketplace. And once they go down this road, there's no turning back. Every dealership in America is now forced to choose: match Carmax or lose customers. Meanwhile, customers are starting to understand the shift. Social media is full of buyers saying they're finally seeing prices that feel fair again. Forums are blowing up with people reporting massive price drops at their local Carmax. Word of mouth is exploding, and that momentum is priceless. But the scariest part of all for the industry, Carmax's next move. Because according to leaked internal planning documents, the company is preparing to unleash something far more disruptive than price cuts. A move that could permanently change how Americans buy used cars. Carmax's next move is something the industry hoped would never happen, a shift that could permanently rewrite the rules of buying and selling used cars in America. According to insiders, Carmax is preparing to roll out a nationwide dynamic pricing network that links every Carmax store, every regional hub, and their entire online platform into one synchronized system. This means a vehicle's price won't just depend on the store it's in. It will adjust automatically based on national demand, regional shortages, auction volatility, and market projections. If trucks start cooling in Texas but heat up in Florida, the system will instantly balance the pricing. No guessing, no manual markdowns, no waiting weeks for a pricing manager to react. This kind of real-time AI-driven pricing is exactly what traditional dealerships fear, because if Carmax can offer perfectly adjusted, market-accurate prices at all times, dealers who rely on negotiation, markups, and inflated valuations will look outdated overnight. Buyers will realize that the best price isn't at the dealership down the street, it's wherever the algorithm says it is. The industry has never seen anything like this, and it's only one part of the transformation. Carmax is also preparing to expand something that has quietly become their secret weapon: nationwide cross-shipping at scale. They've been doing it for years, but now they're doubling down. A buyer in New York can instantly grab a car from a Carmax in Arizona, California, Georgia, or anywhere else, with data showing people are increasingly willing to ship cars from hundreds of miles away if the deal is good. This is destroying the old local dealer advantage. It used to be that a dealership controlled their region, controlled their prices, and controlled the market. Not anymore. Now every dealer in America must compete with Carmax's national inventory, and that's a battle most can't win. Meanwhile, Carmax is leveraging something even more powerful: consumer trust. While traditional dealerships fight bad reputations, negotiation drama, hidden fees, and unpredictable pricing, Carmax is positioning itself as the safe haven during the market collapse. Transparent pricing, clear inspections, no bargaining, and now massive price cuts. Buyers struggling to navigate a chaotic market are naturally gravitating toward the company that seems most prepared for the storm. And yet, there's an even bigger twist hidden behind the scenes. Sources say Carmax is planning to introduce a brand new certification model, one that goes beyond basic mechanical checks. This upgraded program will include digital service histories, predictive maintenance reports, advanced battery health scans for EVs, and AI-powered risk analysis that tells buyers exactly what to expect in the next 12 to 24 months of ownership. If this launches successfully, it will instantly make thousands of competing dealership certifications look outdated and unreliable. It could even push some automakers to rethink their entire CPO programs. But Carmax's most disruptive play may be its boldest yet: a push toward fully remote car buying with zero dealership visits, not even for delivery or paperwork. Carmax wants to make buying a car feel as easy as ordering from Amazon. Click, confirm, delivered, no hassle, no haggling, no waiting in showrooms. If they succeed, it won't just shock the market, it will flip the entire dealership model upside down. And right now, Carmax is doing all of this at the exact moment the market is weakening, prices are falling, and dealers are panicking. They didn't wait for the crash, they're using the crash. But there's one last piece, the one nobody saw coming, and it may be the true reason Carmax moves so aggressively. A hidden shift inside the financial system is about to collide with the used car market, and Carmax is positioning itself before it hits. That hidden shift inside the financial system is what truly pushed Carmax into overdrive. Insiders say lenders are quietly preparing for a massive tightening of auto credit, something far more serious than what the public realizes. Banks have been watching rising delinquencies, soaring repossessions, and shrinking buyer affordability, and now many of those lenders are planning to raise borrowing standards, reduce loan amounts, and restrict approvals on higher-risk vehicles. This means millions of buyers who qualified for car loans last year may not qualify next year. Carmax saw this coming before anyone else. They realized the used car market is heading into a squeeze where only companies with affordable pricing, flexible financing, and massive inventory turnover will survive comfortably. Traditional dealerships, with high markups and slow-moving inventory, would struggle badly in a credit-tightened market, so Carmax acted first. They're slashing prices not only to drive customer demand, but to strategically position themselves as the safest and most bank-approved seller in the market. And here's the crazy part. Some lenders are already testing Carmax exclusive financing incentives, knowing Carmax is the only big player actively lowering prices in a risk-heavy environment. If this happens at scale, Carmax becomes the preferred partner for auto lenders nationwide. That would give them financing power other dealers simply cannot match. But this isn't just about banks tightening credit. It's about a tsunami of inventory hitting the market at the exact same time. Repossession rates are rising sharply, lease returns are flooding in, rental companies are offloading vehicles again, automakers are pushing more fleet sales, and EV depreciation is spiraling out of control. All of this means one thing: a huge wave of used cars is heading straight for dealer lots. Carmax knows that if prices weren't cut early, they would be crushed under the weight of this oversupply. So instead, they turned the tidal wave into an opportunity. While other dealers brace for impact, Carmax is clearing old inventory, lowering their cost basis, positioning for massive volume, and preparing for the biggest used car buyer surge in years. And with their new analytics system, Carmax is ready to absorb this inventory surge efficiently, while weaker dealerships drown in it. But the bombshell goes even deeper. Carmax's analysts reportedly found something alarming. Consumer trust in traditional car dealerships is collapsing at the fastest rate in a decade. Buyers are fed up with hidden fees, surprise markups, shady add-ons, and the "let me talk to my manager" tactics. Carmax sees the opening. They're branding themselves as the stable, transparent, predictable alternative in a collapsing market. And if the trust gap continues to widen, Carmax could easily become the dominant national used car brand in a way the industry has never seen before. And it doesn't stop there. Internal documents suggest Carmax is preparing to announce a new initiative, a powerful system that uses nationwide VN history data to detect inflation, mispricing, and manipulation in the market. Some insiders say this could expose dealership overpricing and instantly pressure thousands of competitors to drop their prices as well. If Carmax launches this, it won't just disrupt the market, it will blow it open. But the most shocking part? Carmax's leadership believes the used car market is only at the beginning stages of a historic correction, and their next move, currently in early development, could change how Americans evaluate, buy, and trade vehicles forever. And that groundbreaking move is exactly what we're about to explore next. Carmax's next groundbreaking move is something so radical that insiders are calling it the Kelley Blue Book Killer. For decades, car buyers and dealers have relied on third-party guides like KBB, Edmunds, and NADA to estimate car values. But Carmax is preparing to introduce a real-time, crowdsourced valuation system powered by millions of live transactions across all 50 states. This isn't an estimate. This isn't an opinion. This is actual pricing data pulled directly from real sales, trade-ins, auctions, regional demand metrics, and instant depreciation curves. In simple terms, Carmax wants to redefine what a car is truly worth. Their system would update values every few hours, not days or weeks, giving buyers a level of pricing accuracy the industry has never seen. And if Carmax releases this valuation tool to the public, it could instantly destroy the inflated pricing power many dealerships rely on. No more shady markups, no more market adjustment fees, no more inflated trade-in offers that magically shrink once you arrive at the lot. This would put the entire pricing truth of the car market right into the hands of buyers. Dealerships are terrified. Carmax's internal projections show that once buyers have access to instantaneous, transparent valuations, traditional dealers will lose one of their biggest profit engines: ambiguity, because when customers know the real price, dealers can't manipulate the numbers anymore. But this valuation system is just one piece of the larger strategy, a strategy that hinges on one very important shift: the collapse of EV resale values. Carmax's data scientists discovered something shocking. EVs are depreciating far faster than most automakers admit. Some models are losing up to 40% of their value in a single year. Tesla resale values have fallen dramatically. Luxury EVs are collapsing even faster, and upcoming waves of off-lease EVs are about to make it even worse. So Carmax is preparing to launch a dedicated EV pricing model that adjusts for battery health, degradation, charging cycles, and service history. This would give buyers the first accurate measure of an EV's real value and expose which brands are holding up and which are falling apart. Auto executives are terrified of this. A transparent EV valuation system could expose reliability issues, inflated sticker prices, and the hidden cost of battery wear. But Carmax isn't stopping there. They're also developing what insiders call a dynamic ownership cost calculator, a tool that predicts exactly how much a car will cost to own over the next 1, 3, and 5 years. It factors in maintenance, insurance, regional depreciation, repair risks, and even fuel or charging prices. This could transform how Americans choose their next car. Instead of buying based on emotion or marketing, they'd buy based on real data-driven cost expectations. Dealers hate this idea. They know a tool like this would immediately expose overpriced models, unreliable brands, and vehicles with high long-term costs. Carmax is essentially building the future ecosystem of the used car market and preparing to dominate every part of it. But the real shocker, the move that could send shockwaves through the entire automotive retail world, is something even Carmax employees didn't see coming. Carmax is quietly testing a new program in select regions, a subscription-style car ownership model. We're talking predictable monthly payments, no long-term loans, flexible trade-outs, minimized depreciation risk, and no haggling whatsoever. If this program goes national, it could upend the traditional dealership and financing model overnight.